Well, good afternoon. Happy Friday, July 26th. Mark Milam here. Let's get right to it. Not a bad week for mortgage rates, but all eyes are on next Tuesday and really more accurately next Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time for the very next Fed meeting. Now, it's widely projected that the Fed's not going to touch the Fed funds rate next Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time. But there's a puncher's chance, an outside chance that we may see the Fed surprise the markets with a quarter-point rate cut. Most of the smart money is flowing into September. Let's take a look at where the actual money's flowing. This is a Fed Watch, believe it or not, that's what they call it, the Fed Watch tool. And as we point to the July 31st meeting, you can see almost everyone seems to believe 95% chance the Fed's going to hold the Fed funds rate steady exactly where it is now. Although a little bit of money on a quarter-point rate cut. If we move over to September, the 18th of September, that's when you see a quarter-point rate cut. This is down to the 5.25 for the Fed funds rate. We're at 5.5 right now. 87% chance, but take a look at this. Over 10% chance now that we're seeing that the Fed could cut the Fed funds rate by 0.5 point in September. This is what makes me think there's a potential, albeit slim, that the Fed might cut a quarter point on the 31st and save a quarter-point cut for September 18th, because you can see the next meeting is in November, right before the election. The Fed is not going to want to cut the Fed funds rate right before an election. That's going to be perceived as political, and that'll take us all the way out to the third week of December. So the Fed's got an interesting next 60 days with which they're going to have to figure out how they want to architect this. We'll keep our eyes on next Wednesday, but high probability of the Fed rate cut there on September 18th. This is what mortgage-backed securities have looked like over the past 5 days. A little bit of a sell-off midweek, but we've regained. We've bounced back smartly here on Thursday and Friday, regaining whatever we lost, finishing out the week slightly better than how we started. Nothing crazy, but a little bit better than how we started the week. Let's talk a little bit about refinances. We're seeing a slight uptick in refinance activity, and can you be surprised by that, given what's happened with consumer credit card usage and consumer credit usage period outstanding, and really people's greatest source of wealth is the equity in their home. In fact, we've set a record for equity nationwide. I'm going to take you over here to the Mortgage Bankers Association chart. This is pulled straight from the Federal Reserve. Homeowner equity now topping over $18.5 trillion in the United States, and yes, that is a record. So when you start thinking, well, where are we going to go to tap into a little bit more of our wealth? That's going to be in your home. And how are you going to do that? It's going to be through some form of mortgage, whether that's a new first mortgage, which should be somewhat painful for some homeowners. They're going to have to give up that very low interest rate on the first mortgage, or perhaps they'll move to a home equity line of credit. But a large source of wealth that's mostly untapped there, $18.5 trillion worth of homeowner equity nationwide. And lastly, we'll close out here on July the 26th. When your daughter comes to work at your company for the summer, it's a pretty special thing. So I've gotten to witness my daughter, Virginia Milam, who's been an intern with us all summer long. We say goodbye to her today as she prepares to go back to the loveliest village on the plains for her sophomore year. It's been great having you here, V. Wish you the best of luck in year 2 at Auburn. All right, y'all have a good weekend, everybody.